Okay, so here's the deal on these two speakers going up against each other. You probably saw, if you didn't, you go back and check it. I did a review the other day on the XV900. I did it upstairs on the main floor that's all hardwood floors with a couple rugs, high ceiling, so the acoustics weren't very good. I was wondering how it would sound down in the basement with better acoustics. The sound up there was okay. Didn't sound bad, but the bass didn't impress me. So we're going to do this down in the basement. I'll start by saying the XP900 has a similar issue that I found with the XG500, that boombox style, whereas the mega bass mode has bass, but it also is not real clear. It doesn't have a lot of detail and sparkle in the upper range. And when you use mega bass through the Sony app, you cannot use the EQ. So it's kind of it basically is an either or. You either use the mega bass or you use the EQ. You can't use both. So the sound signature to me with the XV900 sounds very similar to how the XG500 sounded when you use the mega bass. So I tend to not use the mega bass with that, and I don't think I will use it with this. So we're going to do a comparison of the two and let you guys see what they sound like against each other. The rumble in the jungle, or a basement brawl, more like, because we're down in the basement now. So we're going to kick it off. So let's get to it. All right, we're going to start this at 20%. And this first go around, we're going to have the JBL Partybox 710 in its bass boost 1 mode, no EQ adjustments. The Sony XV900 will be in its mega bass mode, and you can't do any adjustments with the app EQ when you use that. So we're going to start at 20%. If you got headphones, wear them, put them on. Be careful when we get up to upper volume on these because they're both pretty loud. I'm about 8 feet away from them, so fairly close, but we're in the basement, carpeted, has much better acoustics than upstairs. So we're going to see what happens. So we're going to start at 20%, and we'll start with the JBL. I won't tell you further after that because you'll be able to tell by the lights that are flashing. Hopefully you can read that decibel meter I got going right in front of there too. All right, here we go. Let's go up to 40%. Up to 60%.
I need you to stay right there. I'm coming right away, my dear. This car, that time, everything coming right back. Won't you wait for me? I need you to stay right there. I'm coming right away, my dear.
Go to 80%. to back that up to the beginning at 80%, still on the Sony. Okay, I'm going to back that up again and we'll see what that part of the song sounds like on the Partybox. Loud, 80% both of them. But the Partybox is actually a little bit louder. While that's in mega bass mode, it's a warmer sound like I mentioned before. Partybox is a little louder. I can't hardly stand 80%. That's blowing me out of the room. I don't know what that's doing to my mic. But let's switch up. And oh, I forgot to mention too that Sony is plugged in. So it's at its peak performance, if you will. I think it just loses a little bit when it's running off its battery. Not nearly as bad as the XP500 that really lost quite a bit. So let me take this and we're gonna put them in different modes and we'll see what else we got. Okay, so now I'm running the Sony in its EQ mode. There's no mega bass is not on. So we're running what the EQ within the app allows. So I'll show you what I've done to it. Hopefully I'll be able to see it because it's white. I think you can see that there. I raised the mid some and I've maxed out the bass and maxed out the treble. So in all likelihood that should make it louder because you're increasing those frequencies. But I still don't think it has as much bass when you do this as it does in mega bass. And for the JBL, the bass boost is off. And what I've done here is I've increased the bass to the max on that. It starts in the middle, so it's just 2 notches up. And the mids and highs I bumped up a notch. So also that should be a little bit louder than its normal EQ. Normal bass boost 1, I would assume. So we'll start at 60% this time. We'll change tracks on the Sony. 60%. Pretty thumpy. Partybox. Up to 80%. Partybox. Sony. Gotta pause this because I don't know if you hear I can speak over these things, are so loud. I'm gonna go to 100% now. Still on the Sony. Partybox. that's running, that Partybox is running about 5 to 6, somewhere in there, decibels louder. So it's noticeably louder. I'm surprised because upstairs when I had that Sony rolling, it sounded loud. Now the bass, you can tell the JBL does lose some of the bass when you get up to max volume like that, but it's still, the bass is far better and has more effect to it than the Sony does. I'm going to bump this down a little bit and we'll change tracks. Bump it down to 60%. And then we'll check out another track here. My ears are kind of ringing already. That is really loud. That is really loud when you're inside. 60%. So yeah, the Partybox is still the better speaker. Like I said, the Sony, even when I've got the EQ on the Sony maxed out on their 3-band EQ on the treble and the bass, they're maxed. So the bass still doesn't hit as hard or with as much authority as the Partybox, and it's still, the treble is still not as clear as the Partybox. The Partybox has more of an airiness sound to it, where you have, sounds like more separation. The Sony, it sounds more like it's a flat sound coming at you, like that. It doesn't have any real depth to the sound. It's like everything's coming at you at the same time, whereas the Partybox, you kind of get a little more, like I said, the airiness to the sound, and it has more definition in the upper range, and it's a little bit brighter. So the Sony, if you didn't listen to that Partybox and just listen to the Sony, it sounds pretty good. It has a pretty decent bass. It has a decent sound. I like it a lot better once I've done that to the EQ as opposed to running in mega bass, which was, like I said, the XG900 or boombox style, very similar to how that sounded. But for this being having separate mids and tweeters and that large 12.6 inch woofer, I kind of expected a little more out of that XV900 because it's a beast. I mean, it is. You can see it's actually a little bit bigger than the Partybox, and as far as the width and depth, it's a little bit bigger. It's still a good speaker. I like it. I do like it, but like I said, the Partybox just sets the bar so high that Sony obviously can't achieve what JBL is able to achieve, because Partybox has been, 710's been out for a while. They just came out with this, so you know they're taking this in the lab, the JBL, and listening to it, doing their thing with their speaker. Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna make this sound like, and they can't do it. Even with that 12.6 inch woofer, that's a larger woofer. I've got, if you look over here, I've got two Monolith THX Ultra 12 inch subs that are just beasts, and those have a smaller driver than the woofer in that Sony. So I gotta say, the Sony is it's good. It is a good speaker, but the 710 is still at the top of the mountain. But the one caveat, like I said, is if you need something big and loud, although it's not as loud even plugged in as the JBL, it's got the battery in it. That's the wild card that the Sony has that the JBL doesn't. So if you need something big and loud to take outdoors where you're gonna have to run a battery, obviously that's the one to go with, whereas the JBL can't do that. But you can't get either one of them wet. So let me know what you guys think. I'm still pleased with the Sony. It's just kind of like if you're dating a really pretty girl and then you see a supermodel, doesn't mean your lady's ugly. She's just not a supermodel. Maybe a bad analogy, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll probably do this Sony against the 310 Partybox, or maybe a pair of 110s, just to see what they would do against each other. So we'll have more stuff coming up. You guys stay safe for Halloween. Like I said before, don't get tricked, get treated. And we'll catch you at the next one. That's a wrap.